𝗪𝗡𝗡, and more. And calling all students, gear up for success with our back-to-school items, providing you with everything you need to excel in every subject. At Elevation Bookshop, we're here to assist you in finding the perfect resources for your journey. Do you have specific preferences or looking for something special? Visit us at Kenya Cinema Plaza, mezzanine floor, or contact us on 0748 902 225. Elevation Bookshop. Enrich your life.
Elevate TV, advancing kingdom lifestyle.
Wow, praise the name of the Lord and good morning. And I think I should begin by saying Happy New Year. In Kenya we say it is still a new year as long as you have not met. And many of you I know we have not met because it is my first day to be on this side of a camera since the year began. And I want to say thank you so much to those all of you that supported us, supported this program. Last year, I mean, the comments, the sharing and everything you did, the questions you ask, I want to say thank you. I also want to say thank you so much to all my guests that came, 52 weeks, every day, every Tuesday, we had someone coming here. I want to say thank you so much. Elevate TV is a place to be. I also want to remind you that this show is not about anything else but leadership. So anytime you see me here Tuesday morning, just know we are talking about leadership. As we always say, just before the year closed, I told you that any day that you see me here, just call someone, share the link and tell them, Apostle Patrick is back. Why? Because we talk about real life. I've always told people the difference between this show and all others is that it's not just my show, it is your show. That's why I ask you to ask a question, put your comment there, and believe you me, I keep on reading and sharing, telling people, this is not my show. Last time, we had a guest that did an amazing work. I remember in 𝗏𝗏𝗏, you look for people to start and the people to finish. Those two are very important. One who starts and one who finishes. And as I was thinking about who starts this relay for us, 2026, I remembered a man that would come and share his life. One of the reasons why I chose this guest is because the things he shares are not things he just read in the book, but things that he has gone through. My guest today is not other but Pastor Zach Wangi. Welcome, Pastor.
Thank you, sir, for having me. It's a great honor being your first guest for the show. It's really a great privilege. So I'm happy to be here and looking forward to the new year.
Wow, thank you so much. I'm so happy that you came. You know, you could have said you're not coming.
Sure.
Today, this is my guest, and we are talking about the challenges of leading an urban church. My friend, I have had people bash pastors and other leaders, of course. And I hear people correct, and of course sometimes people don't have very kind ones to pastors. And so when we have a chance, we want to encourage that pastor by telling him, you are not alone. And so my guest was here as the year was closing. And you know, it began on this topic. They were together with my co-host, Pastor Albert Shitakwa, who I want to thank God for, because men, wherever you're watching from now, I love the way you do it. And I'm here to start, and I want you to know that I celebrate you. So, leading the urban church.
Yes, sir.
You have been in this work for a long time now. More than 16 years.
Interesting. I wouldn't say a long time, because I know there are seniors out there. But I've had the privilege to serve in the urban context for a few years, in different contexts, but you know, still within the urban setup. And there are a few observations, there are a few experiences, and there are a few things you get to learn as well about the dynamics that comes at play when you are leading ministry, so to say, or leading a church in an urban setup. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and of course, the reason why I want you to take your time is because, especially now, you know, we're in January, and there are those who close the year saying, I am not going back there. And of course, there are those who are praying now, saying, Lord, I don't want the challenges I went through last year.
The Egyptians I saw.
I don't want to see them again. So just do a short recap of what you did last time.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I think last time we did, introduce this topic, and I think one of the issues we highlighted is the dynamics of leadership in the context of the leaders you need to work with in the urban context. And I think one of the things that was quite evident in our discussion is the expectations in an urban context can be quite different. You discover that when you come to an urban setup, you are dealing with people who are, one, they are exposed. You're dealing with people who are also probably in the marketplace or in the corporate space. You're dealing with people who also tend to wear other hats, not just the church leadership aspect. And so one of the dynamics that we saw that comes up when you work with such people is that there's an expectation and sometimes a demand that the leadership should take a corporate approach to leadership. And I think, just to be clear, there are principles that can cut across, whether it's a Christian ministry or it's a marketplace or secular leadership, so to say. But church presents its own unique setup in terms of leadership. It doesn't have to be really corporate. Not all corporate principles would apply in a church setup. Not all marketplace concepts would apply in a church setup. So one of the dynamics we saw that maybe becomes a big challenge for pastors is when you are dealing with corporate people. For example, in the corporate world, they will drum the drum of let's set up the 5 targets, the 5 goals for this year, the 5-year strategic plan. And that is good. It's good to also have that in the church. But what if God would say, for this season, I want you to take some time. I want you to take some time in prayer. I want you to take some time. It's good to plan. The Bible says in Proverbs, the plans belong to man, but the answer comes from the Lord. Yes, there's a place for planning, but God is the one who comes with the answer. So sometimes if people become too administrative and too managerial, they may not leave room for the leading of the Spirit, because God's Spirit may not lead, so to say, as any other corporate setup or any other leadership place, in the marketplace or secular forum. So that's one of the aspects we saw, that many pastors sometimes go through that challenge of how do I harmonize? How do I balance the expectation of my, so to say, corporate and marketplace members, and how do I make them feel that I am relevant for this generation while I am still allowing God to lead us? I think that the tension there is how do you harmonize between spiritual leadership and, so to say, secular leadership? And how do you apply secular concept, so to say, I know there are those who would say there's nothing secular, everything comes from the Bible. But I think at the end of the day, there are principles that God will not really follow the scripts that we would follow in the marketplace. In the marketplace, we go for targets, we go for goals, we go for strategic plan. This is where we need to be in 6 months, this is where we need to be in 1 year. But sometimes you may start a ministry and it may be a bit slow to take off. Maybe to encourage a pastor there who maybe even be having a strategic plan, had the goals for last year, but the year came and ended, and for some reason you feel you didn't hit your targets, or maybe have not been able to hit your targets for the last few years, so to say. I think what is critical is it's good to plan. I think that should be mentioned. A plan is good, but I think allowing God to lead is very important. That would be an important place to start.
You know, when you talk about plan, I imagine Moses with a strategic plan on how to leave Egypt and how to get to the promised land.
Yes.
That would not have been 40 years.
Wow, yeah, definitely.
That plan would not have been 40 years.
Exactly.
But you can see what happened. And you actually, the Bible says that God took them round and round to test their hearts. And sometimes in church leadership, you find that God calls a man, but he has a heart to deal with. You know, he has a heart to deal with. And people don't understand the sign of God dealing with the man. Sometimes people look at God and this organization that we have.
Yes.
And as you put it, I know the challenge out there, pastors who feel the pressure from the leaders, leaders who feel the pressure from the pastor, this pastor who doesn't see it.
Yes.
And these leaders who don't obey, who are not loyal enough. And I think you also have heard people say, this church will be messed by our pastor. Pastor 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏 𝗪𝗏.
He's slowing us down.
And they feel they own the church more than the pastor. And that's a balance that we need you to talk about. And of course, there is also the place where the pastor feels this is the way, and the people feel, no, that is not where we were going. Because sometimes people peg on what you said in the beginning.
Yes.
But when you begin the journey, they don't know when the Lord will tell you take right or take left. And they are left like it was a straight line. If it is not straight, then we are not going. So
I hear you. I think what you said very, very rightfully, maybe we can start that, on the onset, is that more than the pastor leading, God wants to work on the pastor more than building the ministry. God is committed to building the individual more than the ministry that maybe people see on the outside.
The institution.
And God would invest time. God is never in a hurry to build a person. God will take his time, because God understands that there are levels and dimensions God can usher a leader, but if they have not built capacity, either through character, through spiritual capacity, through depth, be able to understand, dynamics of spiritual warfare and all that. So you might find someone who is hoping that, I need a bigger church, I need a bigger budget, I need to start international missions, I need to go beyond my town, there are things I need to start doing. There's always that pressure to feel you want to check the boxes and do what we call deliverables and hit your KPAs, and by this time we need to have done this. But God may say you're not yet ready for that. And as you say, from the outward, it may look like there's nothing happening. And as you say, there may be pressure, maybe from your headquarters. They need report. How far are we with the building fund? How far are we with raising the budget? How far are we with training the leaders? There may be those outward markers of progress, but God may not check those boxes with us. Sometimes God may pause and first process the leader. And I think for me, that's the most critical assignment first God does. God invests in building the leader beyond the ministry, because God knows if I'm done with the leader, the ministry is just, God is the one who builds the church. But if the leader is not ready, it doesn't matter how well, the ministry, the setup may be right, the seasons may be right, but if the person is not yet prepared, they cannot rise up to that level. But I also want to, just mention what you said, that along the path, and this is where we talk about alignment. It is good to cast vision. It is good to say, this is what we are trusting God to achieve. This is the direction we feel God leading us. But as we understand, even in the story of Abraham, God never works with blueprints. You see, God is not like an architect. Before you build a house, the Nairobi County will ask you to give us your plans.
Yeah.
And once we approve your plan, you better stick with those plans. But God does not work with blueprints. When he calls Abraham, he doesn't give him a blueprint. In fact, he just says, leave your people. He doesn't even say where you're going.
Yeah.
So as you make progress, as you make steps of maturity and obedience, then God gives the next step. So it's possible that as you launch, along the way, God may decide to take a different path. As you gave a good example of the Israelites leaving Egypt and going to their promised land. They could have envisioned that, and maybe today they could have done research and Googled and hired an expert to advise what's the best way, what's the best route, you know. And they could have said 11 days journey through Kadesh Barnea, we will be there, we'll hit it. But God along the way may say, no, I think let's use the wilderness. You're saying you may reach a place where there is a Red Sea. You see, such things are not in the blueprint.
Yeah.
But God will allow you to go through such places because, yes, he wants to mature you. And as he grows you, he also grows people with you. The people that, you know, come along with you, they grow along with you. You see the example of David. David starts with a very weak men. They are even given very, nothing to write home about with the people that started with David in the cave. You remember the cave of Adullam. But when we read the book of 2 Samuel 23, they are called the mighty men. There is a maturity, there is a progress. So I think it's important we understand that beyond God building you as a leader, also God builds a team with you. And God is invested in building that team more than the outward. Because the outward, I mean, God created the earth in 7 days. So if it was the outward, the 7 days, God can raise a mega church.
Yeah.
God can build a mega church in 7 days. But to build the individual may take, as you say, 40 years in the wilderness. I'm not saying that necessarily the case, but I think that's a journey of leadership. So I was saying, I think that has to be understood, that it's not black and white. There are areas where you need to seek clarity from God. Every season, as you make one step, God gives another direction. And yes, God may lead you in a path you didn't envision. Maybe to test your obedience. Maybe to test your submission. And all that. God may ask you to take a break because he knows better than you can see. But you may be feeling, I need to clock this, the year is ending, I need to have hit these targets, I need to have hit my goals. And according to our strategic plan, we need to have started 2 churches, 3 churches in 3 years. Every year we need to launch a new ministry. But you may end up launching a church with the wrong person because God is telling, wait, you know, it's like in the time of the apostles. We see when Judas betrayed Christ, they had to replace.
Yeah.
And there's always theological arguments whether they did the right thing, whether they got the right guy. But later we see this character called Paul the apostle, who was not numbered among the 12, and he did such a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
So I think you can never really script God, so to say, and you cannot be rigid to say, I thought we are going this way, so we have to stick to this script. So I think leadership with God is dynamic. Yes, God will call us to plan. God will call us to envision where we are going, but we must also not get, you know, be caught up, you know, with plans and statistics and numbers and bottom lines, because sometimes how we measure success, our indicators may not be God's indicators of success. Success to us may be buying land. Success to us may be hitting 500 members. But God may see building our inner capacity as a greater work beyond the outward things that we may see as success.
Wow, that is so profound, Pastor. And I think, to be very honest, listening to you, I wish there can be this kind of a talk, can be just a seminar somewhere with the servants of God who feel like I've been on this thing for too long, I'm not seeing anything. And others feel like within that short time, I've achieved. And so probably need to move to the next level. I remember one time a man came to me and saying, I want to come to Nairobi. I said, why? He said, because I feel like I have outgrown my region. I come from this small place, and the population is very small, and I think I have outgrown that place. I told him, well, if the Lord is saying so, you can. But if it is you, he said, no, let me tell you, when I land to the city, you'll see things you have never seen. And believe you me, he left that place. He came to the city. This is almost 20 years later. He has never settled. Wow. He has never settled. Wow. Trying to going back where he was, the people saying, we don't need you. You know, you left us when we needed you. Now we moved on. And you can imagine that.
Yeah.
So the place of hearing God.
The place of hearing God.
Very important.
Very critical.
Let's now come to, you know, this urban challenge.
Yes, yes.
And it is real. It is real.
It's real.
Tell us about the challenge of members.
Exactly. Of course, just
somebody saying that in Nairobi you don't have permanent members. And I mean, leading in urban. And listening to that person, it made a lot of sense. He says one time he was preaching in a place and he was there, he had members and all that, and then got a report that his member was admitted in hospital. So they went to pray for that member. And when he arrived there, he found 7 pastors. All of them had come to pray for their member. So he didn't know whether
he's a man.
Everybody was claiming this is my daughter. And there were 7 of them, powerful member. You know, she was able to gather all the 7 pastors. And that was one lunch hour visit. So they didn't know whether in the evening there were more.
The longer visit. So
it's a challenge you can.
Interesting, sir. But I think you're alluding to a very important point of one of the dynamic of urban membership is what we call transient members. You're dealing with very transitional people. Some of that factor could be because of real life factors. For example, you build with a student and they go along the way, they graduate, you build them, you work with them. Then they get married and they have to go. Life, those are, you know, factors of life. Someone else gets a job posting outside your area, because that happens a lot within the urban context, and they have to leave, they have to transition. So you are dealing with transient members for many reasons. Others may decide to buy land and settle in a place that's a bit far than where you started with them, and you have to accept the reality. So when you talk about transient members, or they're not really permanent, so to say, it's a very high possibility in the urban context. And I think one of the things that pastors wrestle with is to release members. Because you feel, I have done all this work and I'm going to release this person to go to another pastor who did not labor. I planted, someone is going to harvest. You understand?
Not even water.
Not even, he didn't even water.
Watering.
He didn't even water. Now I'm giving someone, you think you have worked with someone, you know, through their seasons of challenges, and when they're about to, you know, they have settled in life, they're established in the direction they're going in life, they have to transition out. And many pastors in the urban context wrestle with that idea, because they feel, hey, it seems like I'm just here called
kindergarten.
I'm kindergarten. I'm grooming people. They go to the university in another level. But I think what is critical for every man of God to understand is that God gives you people, your right people for the right season. There are people God may ordain for you to be with you for the long run. There are those who God may ordain to be with you for a season and a reason. And I think what is important is understand that you don't own people. And what is also critical is that it's God who draws people to you because he knows what they need to get from you. If at time comes that God needs to shift them or move them to another season, or also interesting, they might decide to make decisions out of their own understanding of life and the seasons of life they are going through. There are those who go through dynamic challenges and they feel, I need to be in a mega church. This church cannot accommodate my new car. You know, there is no parking.
And do you think there are times when they feel they are about to groan their pastor?
Exactly. They might feel...
you know, sometimes we blame them.
Yes.
But when you listen to members, you know, and they just be sober and they listen to them talking, they can really challenge you. As a man of God, since I came to the church, this is what we have been teaching. You know, you have been telling us we shall go far all the time. Even when we are far, you still don't know that we went. You know, you are declaring, you know, some of those things that you shall get children. Now we have grandchildren. You are still declaring that we shall conceive, and we fear that we may get children at 80. So we left because that anointing can be high voltage on us, you know. And sometimes you feel, is there a very genuine reason like that? People feel we feel like we have outgrown this ministry. Is that a genuine reason?
I don't want to use the word outgrown. I would look at life in seasons. I would look at life and see that there's a season that may come that God may need you to move. They may need God, but I think what is critical for me is that God has to orchestrate the movement beyond you informing yourself. We've seen in the Bible when people felt, I need to move, I need to shift, I need to do this, but then some of them are not in God's will. We see the story of Isaac in the book of Genesis. He sees for some reasons, maybe there's famine, maybe there's the limitations here, I need to go. And God says, no, stay in Egypt, stay where you are, don't go to Egypt. And God blesses him there, God expands him there. We see the story of Elimelech in the book of Ruth. Elimelech thinks, it's my time to move, it's my time to shift. And he goes to Moab, and we see that did not end well with him. You understand? But we also see the case of Abraham. God decides to move him, tells him, come out of the Ur of the Chaldeans, come out of your place. God wants to take him to a new season. God wants to elevate him and take him to a new dimension. Yes, I think it's important, as you say, God may orchestrate transitions. God may transit members. God may open new doors of opportunities. God may decide to elevate, or God may decide to relocate. It's part of how God does it himself. But as you say, we cannot do what Lot did, because Lot looked with his eyes, in the naked eyes, and he saw the valleys and the cities. He said, I think that's a place. Just as you're giving an example, we may look and say, I think I need to be in the new headquarters of the county. I need to be in the city. I need to be in the capital. That is using the eyes of Lot. And we saw how that ended for Lot, because you see what happened with his daughters, because he went, pitched his, his tent close to Sodom, because it looked good in the outward, but he never knew the generational impact it would have on him and the children that would come after him. So I'm saying, yes, God may do that. But I think you also raise a very good point. As pastors also, I think, especially in the urban context, it is incumbent upon us also to grow and grow ourselves, to build our capacity. Sometimes it may call us equipping ourselves more so that we are more relevant, because the reality is, man of God, the people you're ministering to will have listened to 10 sermons in the week before they hear you on Sunday. Those are the realities. We live in a digital age. We live in a global society. There are YouTube pastors, there are YouTube ministers, there's online ministers. So people are exposed and they are receiving. As to whether the idea here is not matching and trying to compete or comparing. The idea is to say that you need to understand you are dealing with people who are also receiving and exposed. And the idea is not trying to compete and try to show up as I can also be that Nigerian big shot. I can also get a Nigerian accent. I can also try to keep up with the Joneses. I don't think that's a whole aspect. The idea is be authentic, be yourself, but you as a man of God must also grow so that people can grow with you. We see David. David started in the cave of Adullam, but David did not finish there in the cave of Adullam. He ascends, he gets anointed once, he goes to, abroad, goes to Jerusalem. There's a transition, there's a progress of growth. So I think, as you say, even as pastors, there's a burden of responsibility on our part to grow ourselves and build our capacity to the level that also we grow with our members. So as you say, there is no accusation of we have outgrown our man of God.
Yeah, and I think that's very powerful. We are the leader, the pastor, should also settle, because even at home, you don't have to cook the way it is cooked in the hotel. People can eat in the hotel, but they still have to come back home.
Yes.
That is one. The other thing is, for a man of God, it is important to know that you cannot be everyone.
Exactly.
As you have said, be authentic, be yourself, and minister. And I think the other thing is, as you have put it well, is that you minister to the people God has called you to minister to. Once God feels like you are done with this person, he can relocate them. But I think there should be some decorum also in how people live, so that they don't hurt that pastor. Because again, it's also going to let them know that you can tell the pastor, I am leaving. And of course, the pastor should be mature enough to receive when you are told I'm leaving. You don't curse them. That I don't see that vehicle arriving, But we are going to take a very short break. Then we come back and continue. 2 minutes, and these are 2 minutes for you to share, call someone, tell them, listen to what is going on in 𝗟𝗏 TV. I will be back in a moment.
Looking for a school that provides a solid foundation for your little one? 𝗨𝗥𝗕𝗔𝗡 Christian School is now admitting children from 2 to 6 years old from January 2026. At 𝗨𝗥𝗕𝗔𝗡 Christian School, we understand that every child is unique. Our qualified and experienced teachers ensure that each child gets the personalized attention they need. Our beautiful classrooms are designed to stimulate learning and spark curiosity, offering a rich environment that caters to every child's developmental stage. And we provide balanced meals, snacks, and lunch to keep your little one healthy and energized throughout the day. With a Christian approach, we focus on the holistic growth of every child. Give your child the start of a strong start in life with a school that truly cares. Enroll today. Don't miss this opportunity to give your child the best start. Visit us off Kasarani Mweki Road or call us now at +254 758 396 110. 𝗨𝗥𝗕𝗔𝗡 Christian School, a foundation for the future.
What if the encounter that could shift your life is airing live this Friday? Don't miss the GG report every Friday at 8 p.m. Then stay plugged in for Elevate TV's premiere lineup. Encourage a Pastor, Saturdays 8 p.m. Kids Arise, Saturdays 9 a.m. 𝗪𝗏 𝗪𝗏, Tuesdays 6:30 p.m. Gathering of Champions, Thursdays 5 p.m. 40+, Saturdays 9:30 p.m. Tracing the Mantles, Sundays 8:30 p.m. and 𝗨𝗏𝗕𝗏𝗧, Fridays 7:30 p.m. Catch this and much more only on Elevate TV, where Kingdom lifestyle is advanced daily.
Well, thank you so much. As I told you, it will just be 2 minutes. And of course, I'm truthful. When I say 2 minutes, they have to be 2 minutes. Why? Because I also want to see heaven and enter in there. Now, we are still talking about the challenges of leading an urban church. And just as we were closing, we were just taking a short break. Somebody asked a question, and I would want to read that question. Remember, when I'm on this side, it's so sweet. I don't answer any question. I just read it. And Douglas Mogambi, thank you so much. We are Bernard Waroy, my friend Bishop, thank you. The Lord bless you. And Douglas asked a very interesting question. I love this discussion. It is very right. What happens when you decide to move out of a church for some of the reasons you have mentioned, and your pastor refuses to release you, and you feel it is God's will for you to move? What do you do?
Thank you for that question. I think, to be honest and to be practical and real, the issue of transition is a major issue within the body of Christ. It's a big issue in terms of, one, and this is my understanding, when a time comes for even a pastor to leave or even members to leave, I always look at it as a test for both parties. One, to the person who feels their season has come to an end and they need to leave, is a test for them in terms of how are they going to handle the transition. It's also a test on the side of the pastor in terms of how are you going to handle this member who is leaving. Let me put it this way. Church is not a cartel. You see, in the drug cartel, you can only be in one cartel. If the moment you leave one cartel, you are an enemy.
I love that.
So we are not dealing drugs here. We are not cartels. We are not the Colombian mafia.
Yeah.
So whether you agree with someone's reason for leaving or not is not necessarily your space. But this is how I would look at it. If a member comes to you and says, I want to leave, and as a pastor, as you engage them or you have observed a few dynamics, you might feel that maybe it's not the right time. One of the ways you can do is to encourage the person, say, would you want to take a month and be in prayer? Seek God about this. then you may also tell them, look for these indicators. Ask them simple questions. The Bible says that you shall be led forth in peace. You shall live in joy and be led forth in peace. Ask them, for them to be honest, because this will be critical for them to introspect in future. Ask them, do you have peace about this decision? Are you sure you are being led in peace? Do you have peace in your heart about this decision? Because those are the indicators of how God leads. You may want to try to guide someone to understand what we mean by divine direction. That is a place. But bottom line, and this will be my understanding, if someone needs to leave, for me, I believe as a man of God, you should facilitate their living and to the best of your ability, help and appreciate them. Don't be bitter. It's also a test for you. For me, I always encourage pastors, and I encourage myself, pass your test as a pastor if a member is leaving. Let them pass their test as a member of how they want to live. But you as a pastor, pass your own test of how you release them. Because by doing that, you build capacity for God to bring more people. You remember the story of Elijah. God can never be deficient. God is never limited. One time Elijah woke up and said, I am the only one. So as a pastor, the moment you begin to feel that I cannot release this member, maybe he's one of my biggest tithers, maybe he's the one who is holding 3 positions in the church, my ministry is too young, if I release them now, what will happen? By doing that, you are making that person an idol. You are making them a deity in your ministry. You are trying to tell God you are limited. You only have Elijah. Elijah was told, I have 7,000. So when Elijah leaves, go and tell God, where are the 7,000?
Yeah. One pastor told God, Lord, why are you killing me? If you take this one, you are just killing me, you know. And I think it said John Maxwell who says something very powerful. He says, love them dearly, but hold them loosely. If you want, when they come your way, love them. Even when they leave, love them. But when they want to go, hold them loosely, let them go. And actually, I know there are those who go and still come back. Yeah, because there are people sometimes who you can tell it is not time to go. Yes. But they feel they have had God. Let them go. Yeah. Should they go and they feel like coming back, your hands should be open. Exactly. We still talk about the prodigal son, but the father of the prodigal son should also be talked to. Exactly. And the brothers as well. That this brother can go and they still come back. That's true. Emaciated or whatever, blessed or whatever, the father should be willing to receive him. And I think we need to have that. Yeah. It's a blessing. That's anyway, there are challenges of an urban church. Exactly. Let's continue. So thank you for that. I think moving on to the next maybe issue that comes across within the urban ministry is we're living in a culture. The urban context presents economical challenges. They present a lot of demands, so to say, as compared to the rural setup. Of course, there are demands in both contexts, but in the urban context, you discover that people are really, they are dealing with very economical, real issues. They need to pay their rent, they need to pay their bills, they need to transport everything. There are demands on their life. So one of the things that has become a key factor of urban ministry is that unlike in maybe some rural setup where people view church as a place they can go volunteer and help, the people in the urban ministry, most people today view every role in the church as a professional role. I would like to highlight this to say I'm not in any way looking down on professionals being involved in ministry. But one of the trends that has come across very evidently is that people no longer volunteer in the ministry. And I think that's one of the realities that maybe hits hard for any new church planter in the urban context. Unlike a few years ago in the past when you could find people volunteer, say, I can come and help be your sound person, I can help with instruments, I'm gifted, I want to practice my gift, I want my gift to be a blessing to the church, I want to volunteer and clean the church on a few days. A lot has changed now. Today, I would say there's what I call professionalization of every role in the church. Yes, you want professionals as you grow because you're looking for standards and excellency, but also the dynamic comes on the pressure it creates on the budgets of the church. Because you discover that most of the people who you would need to work with, especially within the ministry of helps, every role is almost professionalized. The keyboard person will say, I need to be facilitated. You are guitar people, you are band people, you are worship team leaders, you are every role is professional. People will say, I'm a professional worship leader. I'm a vocalist. I'm a professional.
I have my YouTube channel. This is my life. This is how I earn my living. And we are not in any way downplaying it, but we are saying it poses a real issue. It becomes a real issue, especially when someone is launching a ministry with a minimum budget and they are trusting God to grow in that area. So they wake up and discover there are no volunteers anymore. Anyone you call to volunteer in the church, they will be waiting for the service to end to say, Pastor, I need transport.
You know, you make me happy. This pastor, he was doing very well, and then he had the 2 services. So one of his pastors noticed a man he knew in the congregation, and he was in the first service. It was his first time. So he was in the first service, and I think then 3 services actually. So in the second service, he came to this pastor, and they told him to give him some 200 shillings. I'll refund it later. He said, no, I don't have money. He said, no, don't worry. When we were paid, I will give it to you. So the pastor was like, paid when we were paid. And then investigated what that meant. So he asked him, paid by who? He asked him, we'll be paid. Are you saying this church has no sitting allowance? I've been here since morning and I want I'm committed up to the 3rd service. And somebody told me sitting allowance is 200 shillings. So people come to church with different mentalities. So when you talk about volunteer to clean, there are those who are waiting to be paid, sitting allowance.
That's a new one.
Yeah.
That's a new one. But I'm saying that becomes a real issue. And people, now it becomes an issue which also triggers what we are calling movements. Because if I come to you, I'm a good sound person, and you ask me to volunteer, and then I discover there's a new ministry on the block, and they are willing to take me in and give me a better package.
Not a better.
Huh?
I mean, you didn't have.
You didn't even give anything.
Yeah, there's nothing to compare with. Yeah.
So I quickly make that decision.
Yeah.
So those are the dynamics that we see a lot in urban ministry. There's a lot of transition, there's a lot of movement within the ministry, and sometimes that can unstabilize very young ministries.
You know, Pastor, there's a serious discussion. Urban people discuss it. And the pastors who come out and they say, no, people must be paid. And it's a strong point.
Yes.
And of course, anybody want to be paid will be clapping. Until when you go there and you realize the place is already packed. You don't your services are not needed there. Now, and of course, when that becomes the motivation,
Exactly.
when that becomes the motivation.
Exactly.
And I think the other side is people feel like all the offerings that are given goes to the pastor.
Yes.
So they see this man is enjoying all the money, you know, and we need now to unfold that, so that we can show how then can we handle this, because it's a real challenge. That place of paying everyone, if I clean the church, if I wipe the benches, if I actually, let me tell you, one lady came to our church many years ago and demanded that I give her money for her children. So I asked why. They said they were singing in the choir last Sunday. They came with nothing. Presentation, Sunday school presentation actually. They demanded to be paid. And they're like, Mama, we don't pay people for doing that. Children presenting in church, memory verse. And these songs they do. And she really wanted her to be paid. So I said, well, Mama, we don't pay, but she said, nah, now then that is mean we can't be members here. And she left. So what we are saying is real. Not just playing guitar and the keyboard. Even a memory verse reciting, singing. And then the other question which I still want you to match there is, when you say, I'll pay the worship team, the keyboardist, I'll pay the guitarist, I pay the sound person, and I pay the lead worship leader vocalist. What about those who are singing? Because we practice the same hours, we will sing the same hours, and then one is paid. What do we do with the rest of a choir?
That's a very good question, sir. And I think, to be honest, this is a very real issue in the urban church at the moment. And as you see, even online, there's a lot of debates because of perceptions. There's been a lot of, let's be honest, negative talk on the big man syndrome, the church belongs to the pastor benefits with all the offerings and what have you. But many people don't look at some realities. Many people have never looked at, people are speaking sometimes not from a place of information, where you say, I know the expenses in the church is able to meet the bills. There are a number of factors we need to be real to. One, what season is the church in? Is this a young ministry? Is this ministry able to meet its bills? Because if you can't pay the hall you're supposed to meet, even the people who need to come and clean that hall cannot even be paid. So there's a question of priorities. If you are leasing a land or a property, is that not the main priority the ministry should first settle? Then as the ministry stabilizes, it's able to accommodate and facilitate people. This is how I look at it. I like the way you present it, that the question of motivation is very important. Because if we just throw money, then every businessman can start a church and pay stipends and get the best. But that God says, I will build my church. Then it's not about God building, it will be the money building. But on the other side of the coin, we've also had cases where members feel they have been exploited. They feel we were here, we practiced 3 days, we come for choir, we are here the whole of Saturday. There are many ways, let me say, of motivating members. One can be, if people come early, you can decide, you can have tea, you can have some breakfast in the church. If you're coming to church so early, you don't have time to do breakfast. The other way can be, the church can decide, we will facilitate transport, whether this is organized, whether it's individual. For me, there has to be ways of motivating people and supporting people to serve as they grow, because people are also at different seasons of life. There have been genuine cases of people who are going through a difficult season and they need to serve, but because of dynamics of finances and the season they're in, they are not able to. For me, when there's a relationship with your pastor, with your leaders, there are genuine cases where people can say, we need this person, we need their services as a sound person, we need their services as the instrumentalist, but they are not in a season able to do it. Maybe they don't have support of the parents, maybe their job has come to an end, or this is how they are trying to be their life. And because they've been with us and there's a way the church can facilitate. I want to use the word facilitate because sometimes paying may bring a lot of issues, because now it will be, you'll auction yourself to the highest bidder. If I say I'm offering my services to whoever pays me the best, I might go to the cult who will pay me 10 times.
Yeah, and also the place of when you leave God, where God also comes in. I'm one person who believes that the gift of God cannot be paid.
Exactly.
And God who gives you those gifts did not just give you the gift for money making, it was for ministry.
Yes.
So ministry comes first. And I have seen people who just give themselves and they serve, and God pays them in different ways.
Exactly.
Now, the place also, we also need to show people the spiritual side.
Yes.
It's not just the physical side.
True.
Somewhere in Deuteronomy 28, 47 there, the Bible says, for you did not serve the Lord your God with joy and gladness in the time of prosperity. Now, that prosperity could be health, could be money-wise, and the Lord is saying, now that I've prospered you, can you serve? Now that I've given you this gift, can you serve? But also, I think the place of the pastor, the way also some of us, when I put ourselves there, because we can't isolate ourselves, when we hear a pastor say, I want this show to end quickly because I still have money in the booth, I've not counted the offering. I need to go count the offering. What are you telling the people? It is your money. All what was done, this is your money, so you are going to do whatever you want to do. And I think when leaders talk casually, when leaders give wrong impression, it makes people feel like it's business, you know? It's business.
Yes.
And then when you also don't have accountability, because if people see we got 3,000, we are paying the rent 3,000, and we need to pay electricity, and then they look at it and be like, really, there's no money. All right? But also when there is money, show we have money, so that if that can be done, let it be done. But when people don't see it,
exactly,
they think the money that is here is only for the pastor and his wife. And that's why you are always in a nice suit.
Exactly. That is very interesting, sir. And I think you bring the issue of transparency, because through what I call structures, people are able to understand that, one, the church is not a one-man show. There is a structure of leadership. There is a system for finances. Decisions are not made by one person. Even about expenditure, there's input across the board. You may not necessarily involve every new member who comes to tell them, this is not a budget where we consult, in government, they say there are projects that need public participation. So not everything may be put for the participation of members. But I think, to be honest, as you're saying, through the structures, people should be able to see a level of transparency so that people don't work from a place of assumption. Many people assume. You might even discover that there are meetings you hold, and if it was to balance it out, you need a meeting, maybe a lunch or a meeting or an evening meeting. If someone needs to be given allowance for every time they come, even the offerings and the support that the pastor may be collected for that day may not even be able to even foot half the expectation of that person. But also, you raise a very good question. If everyone wants to be paid, who will pay the ushers? Who will pay those who do backup? So I think the issue of payment has become, it's something that needs to be balanced with a lot of maturity and understanding, because you might end up dividing your own team, thinking you're building it. Because when people wake up and discover, you mean people get paid for what we've been doing? And we've been, you understand?
So I've been working hard
yes,
to give this money,
yes,
so that so and so can be paid.
Exactly.
I sacrifice to give, so that we can pay you a sacrifice. It's how dynamic.
Yes.
But I mean, before we just leave that, I have Nyawira saying, I'm enjoying the conversation, and then 𝗪𝗪𝗏, this guy is an amazing guy, has written a book, very powerful book on the leading hand, an amazing book.
Yes.
I mean, you need to get that book. It's talking about teenage and how these teenagers need help.
Yeah.
I wish I'll bring him one time on this show. Man, an amazing book.
That's good.
That leading hand, and this is glad to plug in despite the last minute, quite reflective and enlightening,
Thank you.
And I think this is one guy I've worked with since he left university for years now.
Wow.
And I must say he has served. He works from Nairobi, really. He drive, I mean, those are many kilometers, and he is always there. And he has never said, give me fare. Wow. That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, so money, money issue cannot be exhausted.
It's extensive.
And this is a key area, man of God, when you talk about urban. Church, we are paying rent. Rent is not enough. So what do? A pastor, sometimes we talk about members who want to be paid, but we forget about that pastor who is left thinking, what do I tell the landlord? It's a real challenge.
It's a real challenge. And the way I look at it, sir, is that ministry is a journey. And when you embark on this journey, there's a growth path that God takes you. And God will stretch your faith muscles. If God leads you, as Psalms 23 says, he leads you, so he will show you your green pastures. He will show you the places to be. And money brings a lot of dynamics. There's a dynamics of don't go ahead of your season. Don't go and rent a hall for 200,000, knowing very well you are launching ministry. There's a place of gradual. God is gradual.
Are you doubting our faith?
It has nothing to do with doubting the faith. It's a question of process and seasons. The same way a child will not wake up today and go to university. The child will not wake up today and join university. High school. There's a play group. So even our faith grows. As we grow, we stretch. We believe God for greater things and believe God. So money is a very critical issue in the ministry, especially in the urban context, because if you're not careful, you would end up aping and trying to do. If someone hosts a conference and they invite an international minister, I also feel I can also go international. I bring in an international guest. The next thing you can't even pay the hotel bills, and now you start resorting to schemes. In fact, just to address these issues, sir, one of the things that has affected urban ministry is the scandals around money, the scandals around manipulation and craftiness, because sometimes people are operating outside their season. Sometimes people are trying to to prove a point that my ministry is also international. I'm also global. I can also travel for international ministry. So I end up forcing my members to fundraise for my ticket, and I tell them I cannot hear God well from economy.
Yeah.
I need to sit properly. So I need a leg room to hear God. So I need a leg allowance.
Yeah.
So you understand, sometimes we put all these demands, you know, with a light note there. We put these demands because our season has not come. So when you talk about money and faith, for me, as you grow in God, you also know how to access His provision. Divine direction goes hand in hand with divine provision. As you grow in that journey, you're able to believe God, even as you say. So, but you say, if a man of, we've all been there as ministers, when sometimes you've found yourself in the negative. You found yourself, the bills are not matching. You find yourself, and I think that's where you have to hand, the first thing you need to do is to hand over the ministry to God. It is not your project, it is not your business. So if bills are not enough, report it to God. If I employ you today, or rather if you are employed, it is not my challenge to understand why, why the employees need to be paid, the house is not paid. If I'm employed by God, if God is my employer, for me it's to report to Him, to say, I've done my work, this is where we are, we need 500. So God can say, wait, lead, it's His problem. But I think the challenge comes when we make it our problem. Because then we start looking for human solutions. We manipulate members. We tell members, you're not supporting your pastor. We preach sermons to manipulate them. Because we have not handed over the ministry. Yeah, we start now merchandising the gospel. Because we have not allowed, we have not handed over the ministry to God to say, this is your project. He says, I will build my church. It is His church. So the first fundamental question to say, is this God's church? If it's God's church, is God leading the church? You understand? So there are a lot of factors that come, that play around money, especially within the urban context, because those are real factors, as you're saying. Very real issues that can make or break a ministry.
So you are saying, understand your season,
exactly,
your assignment. Don't run ahead of yourself or time, and then really hear God.
Exactly.
Now there are so many people who are in trouble, and every time they come to you, it's like, this God is torturing me financially.
Yes.
You know, what would be a 1 minute advice to that person, that pastor who feels like, I need to close this thing, it is not working financially? Should I close, or should I just move on? Because that's a question people have come to me, and somebody says, oh, how can I close what God has anointed? So you have a minute, just help someone.
It's a question with a lot of factors. And I say, one, when you talk about closing, how did you open? There's a lot of history that goes. So for you to be where you are in life, you need to also introspect and say, okay, have I been hearing God all along? Because I'm sure you don't wake up one day and life is a crisis. God is gradual. God is progressive. There's a way God leads. So even before you launched the ministry, did you do it the right way? If you came from another church, were you released? Did you wait on God, or did you depend on people? Because sometimes people report the problem, but they don't account for the process. There's a way you ended up where you are, just to start from that point. But if there's a pastor there who feels, I'm in the will of God, I've waited on God, I feel I've been doing the way things God has called me to do, I would be here to tell you, please don't quit, wait on God. God will still come through. It is His church, it is Him who builds His church. He will send the right people. God still provides the lamb in the thicket.
Wow, that is so powerful.
Yes.
And I want to let you know that the person who has a question tells you, thanks, man of God, my question is well answered, I'm at peace. You have explained it very well. You got exceeding expectation 1. Amazing. Well, that is what we end for today. But just take a minute and invite people to the church.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Once again, my name is Pastor Zach Wangi. Always a joy to be part of this show, and happy for what 𝗪𝗡 TV is doing, and grateful for the hosts for the Morning Digest show. My name is Pastor Zach. We are located in Karen. We meet at Arise Church Karen along Dagoretti Road at a place called Defense Stage. If you're ever there, you'll see our stage. We have a tent there where we meet, and God is doing His church. Welcome every Sunday at 10 a.m. and God will be a blessing to you.
Well, that is what we end for today, and I believe you have been blessed. May the Lord bless you so much. Of course, I don't have to keep repeating this, but, well, because they still promote Coca-Cola, I have to tell you, 𝗔𝗫𝗃 𝗪𝗏, that is where we minister. And I want to invite you to our service every Sunday, 9, we are there preaching the gospel and serving that hot bread. God bless you. See you again on Tuesday. Keep loving, keep sharing Elevate TV. This is our show. This is our television. Shalom. Thank